Do what you need to do.
Mm.
Scared or not, knowledge or not,
Yep.
because we live in the information world now. You can find out how to do anything. Practice makes perfect. So when you put those two things together and you continue to push, there's nothing that's going to stop you. Period.
Hello, I'm Dr. Jim Price, and welcome to the Purpose and Progress podcast. This is the place where we explore how purpose can guide our actions and how growth can become a part of our everyday lives. On the show, I talk with amazing guests, from educators and creators to everyday people with extraordinary stories about the challenges they face, the lessons they've learned, and how to keep moving forward. My goal is to share conversations that inspire you to live intentionally, embrace growth, and take meaningful steps to your own purpose. Let's get started. Hello, I'm your host, Dr. Jim Price, part of the Purpose and Progress podcast show. And today we are all about inspiring people, motivating people, having people be wanting to do better, feeling like they can do better. And today we have a wonderful guest on our show that is going to inspire and share her story. And, such a wonderful, fabulous guest we have today, Dr. B. Danielle Watkins.
Well,
Is here with us today, and I'm just so blessed and honored to have you be a part of the podcast show here. Thank you for being a part of the show.
thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm always honored when somebody wants to talk to me. So thank you.
So I know there's, our audience is always curious. I know sometimes people will see the finished product of something. They see the things that are happening in the current state, and they don't always understand there's a lot to it. There's a lot more to it than just what they see as a finished product. There's always a story behind how people get to where they're at. And, today we're going to kind of hash into that, get into that a little bit and be able to have the audience know more about you. But before I do that, of course, I have to give your accolades too. You're award-winning writer, director, producer, and network executive from Squirrel Vision Network Television, where you are the executive director, and also Dream in One Production CEO and best-selling author. I didn't want to leave all that out. So our audience has a clear indication who, we got some peoples, people's doing great things and stuff. So I did definitely want to make sure I didn't leave that out. So, but a lot of times people don't always understand, they see the finished products, but they don't understand what the body of work that takes to get to a lot of times where people are at. And today we want to, inspire people and have them be able to know you, not just as, a best-selling author and all the things you do with production and media and things, it's the backdrop of all that and the things that inspired you to kind of go in the direction you're going. Because I'm sure a lot of our viewers are some out there who, maybe aspire to do a lot of things that you're doing. And it's always good to have somebody who has been there, been through the trenches of going through everything and got to the level of success that you have. So one of the things I was going to ask in terms of everything, like, when do you feel like your journey started and what influenced that in that way?
Oh, wow. When do I feel like it started? I love doing interviews where the questions is different. I like that. When do I feel it started compared to when it started is two totally different things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I feel like I didn't get started for real on my journey until I left corporate America. But if we start there, that's 2020.
Yeah.
By then I had already written 5 books, right? I had already made movies. I had already done all these things. So it's almost crazy to say it didn't start till 2020. The first time I was published was in 2000 when I was 15. So if we start back then, we say my journey started, when I was a child. But at the time, I didn't know this was something I wanted to do. I didn't know it was something my heart desired. I didn't know it was my purpose. I didn't know any of it. I grew up in Buffalo, and it's cold in Buffalo in the winter. You don't go outside. You don't spend a lot of time, fraternizing and fellowshipping, in the winter in New York. So it's like I spent a lot of time writing to pass the time. And that was from when I was young, like little girl, writing books and writing plays and just doing stuff. because I was growing up alone. My brother is 10 years older than me. So by the time I was old enough to play and do all these things, he wasn't even there. So I grew up by myself, and that's what between writing and playing video games and playing Barbies, like that's how I spent my time.
Mm.
And even being published, that wasn't necessarily on purpose.
Yeah.
2000, we're talking about the beginning of the worldwide internet being in people's homes, right? And people not really monitoring their children because like I'm on there just on the internet in my room, and I found the anthology that I was published in. And I submitted my poem that I had written like when I was in 7th grade, and it got accepted to the anthology. So then I had to go explain to my parents, "Hey, so don't quite know what I did, but it's gonna cost us 59.99 to get the book."
That's okay, you know what I mean? When you're on that journey, you make those sacrifices, do what you gotta do, you know what I mean, on that journey.
But I think my father was the one that was just kinda like my mother was like, "I'm not buying that because I don't know what that is." But my father was like, "We'll get it. We're gonna get it."
Mhm.
So then, I'm in this book, and then I didn't think about it anymore. I didn't my first novel wasn't published for another, like, 11 years,
Wow.
So it was just like, I didn't know. I like, when I say I had no clue, I am the poster child for God ordered my footsteps for sure, because I was going to be a school psychologist.
So
Entertainment industry is insane.
wow. So that was your first like, you really were thinking about psychology, school being, into
Oh,
that.
I have a double major from Winston-Salem State in, North Carolina in psychology and elementary education.
Mhm, mhm.
And then my goal was to become bilingual because I was living in Las Vegas
Yeah,
and I was gonna go get another degree in international studies with a specialization in Spanish because of the demographic in Vegas,
yeah,
and go into the school system and be a school psychologist. That was my plan.
yeah,
I had done the HBCU thing. I had joined the Divine Nine sorority. I had done all the things so that now I could go be an educator.
yeah.
It never made it. I never made it. I'm so happy though. My little cousin is one, right?
Mm,
So I'm so excited that there's somebody that did it. But yeah, I didn't make it.
mhm. Wow. I mean, that's it's always like that. Sometimes you don't know where life is going to take you, even though you may have a plan, and then you end up, doing something else. I totally wasn't thinking about education either, and kind of just happened. And even with the book stuff, with my stuff, it kind of just materialize kind of. So I can understand, like, you have one thing going on, you have a path going on that you're thinking you're going to go on, and those things change. But I mean, you never know. Like,
Yeah.
divine timing is about everything, and sometimes the path that you think you're on is not where you're going to end up, and you still end up helping people in
Ugh.
the bigger picture of things. You still end up helping people so much, and I mean, that's inspirational that you were, like, you people do that. It's like kind of circle of life. You're figuring out things, especially when you're younger and stuff. You're trying to figure things out and go through all the rigors of understanding self, identity, and all these things and stuff while you're trying to forge a path of what you're gonna try to actually do in life. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
So
And
I
then
mean,
all of a sudden it's like, boom. Oh, this is the life I'm gonna live. Okay, cool.
right. But thank you for sharing that. So, what do you feel are some obstacles that you faced throughout your journey to get to where you are today? What do you feel were some of the obstacles that you faced in terms of your journey?
Every journey isn't straightforward, right?
Yeah,
Everything goes like this. Everything has an up and a down and an
yeah.
up and a down. And there's been so many.
Mhm, mm,
There's been so many what we think would be blockades, or I remember one show we were working on. I was in Atlanta. I wasn't living in Atlanta yet,
mm,
and flew to Georgia, and we had cast someone who unfortunately could not sustain what it took, right? The actor, she was comparing herself to the actor. She was really beating herself. As a result of that, we lost a lot of money. And then trying to recoup and recast and reshoot and all the things put me in a position where I had to, like, not pay my rent. You know what I'm saying? And sitting in the house, I have put every money, every dime I have into trying to save a project that could not be saved. And now they knocking on my door saying, "What you gonna do?"
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like things like that happened. Those were the type of obstacles because film is collaborative.
Mm,
Writing novels is not. When I was strictly writing novels, that's all me.
mm,
Right? So when you move into film, there's so many different layers and there's so many different things. And if that machine does not move together,
yeah.
there is no project. And there have been several moments where we've had to sit down and I've had to sit down and make real life decisions in
Mm,
real time.
mm,
And I think I said all of that to say the biggest hurdle that I face in my career is the lack of professionalism
mm,
everybody in the industry. And that really can put you in a situation where your livelihood is on the line
mm.
because somebody else didn't take it serious. You know, as a full time, I do this is my job,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
there's
This is how you
nothing
make your
else.
bread. You make
You
your,
know what I'm saying?
you making your paper. You making your
Yeah,
bread. Like, you
there's
know what I mean? This is how you
nothing
pay.
else,
Yeah, your
you know?
bills. No.
And to have to get on a phone call because this is another situation, and to have to call the distribution company
Mm,
who has given you thousands and thousands of dollars and call them to say, "We spent half your money. We're not gonna finish this project, and Imma send you the rest back." That is a very dehumanizing feeling
yeah,
when you're already Black, you're
yeah,
already female in a white male-dominated situation,
yes.
and now these are the phone calls and conversations I have because there are other people who just simply do not take it serious.
Mm,
So yeah, my biggest hurdle out of everything that has happened, and trust, it has not been easy, right? Has been dealing with unprofessional people.
mm. Wow. That is, I mean, a lot of essence of the things you do see a lot of that in a lot of industries too, where it's just like the level of professionalism is not up to par and up to standard to what the expectations of that maybe
Right.
whoever has the positions and stuff like that. You see that in a lot of the different settings and stuff like that. It's unfortunate that those things happen. And I
Mm,
always say, like, when you do go through a lot of adversity and stuff like that, a lot of times those are the times that you're able to understand more about not just about yourself, but you understand more about the industry and
yeah,
also, you grow from those situations too, helps you grow stronger. So that when you move forward, you're even more equipped to be able to deal with the obstacles and challenges that come about and stuff like that. And I think a lot of times people just, they overlook those experiences. And, even with the publishing, I'm sure, I don't know. I'll ask that. Like when you came out, when you published your first book, like I'm sure, like myself, I didn't know anything about marketing, promotion, anything like that. How did you navigate that when you published your first book and had it published? It's like, okay, I got my book published. Now what? Like,
honestly, even with that, the only reason I got my first book deal is because I had written a story in college, and one of my friends from Buffalo was making movies.
mm,
And he was like I was on the phone with him, we grew up together, and he was like, "Man, I need another story." "I got a story? I'm not gonna do anything with it, so let me send it to him." And he calls me, and he's like, "I'm not doing this." And I was like, "You ain't to be rude. If it wasn't good, you coulda just said that. Like, what are you calling me for?"
yeah,
Like, "No, you need to publish it before I do anything." I'm like, "It's not even written for that, right?
yeah,
Like, this just do what I want you to do." So I honestly sent my package to that first publishing house with the anticipation they were gonna reject it, so I could say to him, "See, they don't want it,
yeah.
so do what you gotta do." And then I got a book deal,
Wow.
and I was like, "Oh my god, what am I gonna do with this?" And then the deal that I ended up signing was I had 12 months to write 2 more books to finish the story
Yeah,
because that particular one was so short.
mm,
They were like, "Well, is there more to the story? We'll take this one, but you need 2 more."
yeah,
So then I committed to that, not even wanting to be a writer. So then in all of that, I had to figure out selling 3 books in a year, and writing and all the things that I was like, "Oh, okay." Sure, my first book I hadn't even physically touched it yet,
mm,
and one of my friends called me in California, and her then girlfriend was getting ready to do an expo,
yeah,
and she was like, "You want a booth for your book?"
mm,
So here I am making up order forms because I don't even have the book yet. Like that's how quick it was. And I'm sitting there at a table with a blow up of the poster and everything, selling books that I ain't even seen yet, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
It was kind of just like jumping head first into it
Mhm.
and just figuring it out as I went, for
Yeah.
sure.
It definitely was for me like that too, more like a learn as I go kind of experience. And as you learn, now you got more tools in your pocket as you're moving along and learning these things. And then future books, I'm sure now you kind of had a
Oh, absolutely. Now it's a whole different deal. I got a book coming out end of the month, whole different scenario,
yeah,
but yeah, that first one was just kinda like the same way I started it is how I continued it. It was just like, "Okay, well, I'm here now.
yeah, yeah.
Well, what does it look like?" You know?
I mean, and I always say is, hey, sometimes you just kind of float and go and enjoy the journey. You enjoy the journey of how things are progressing and opening up and the doors that are open up to be able to do so many different things and collaborate with so many different people, industry wise and stuff like that. So, I mean, all those things are important in the growth. And even when the name of this is Purpose and Progress podcast. We're talking about purpose. We talk about
Absolutely.
progress, like how do we get to A to B and things of that nature. So I mean, all that resonates totally with the idea of how we go these paths and we try to figure out ways to navigate things, even when we do face hurdles and obstacles and stuff. And we allow those experiences to help us grow stronger and
Yeah.
prepare us, for future things and stuff. So I mean, that's definitely inspirational that
And
way.
honestly, if you'd have asked me then,
Yeah.
would I be where I am now?
Mhm.
I'd have thought you were absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, "No, not doing that."
And that's how it goes. Like it'd be like that. You know what I mean? If somebody was like, be like, oh no, like even being in high school, I wasn't when in high school, I wasn't ever thinking about being what age I am now. I wasn't even thinking about that. Like, wow, now I look at like, wow, I'm kind of, I got a little gray on top. Like, yo, it's
Understood. Understood.
know what I mean? So it's like, it's part of the circle of life and stuff. You grow and you nurture yourself and you just, expand and stuff like that. So, I mean, you enjoy the journey, I always
Absolutely,
say.
and then you look back on it and you say, "Oh my god."
Yeah,
You do, you look back on it and you're like, "Wow."
to
And we
see the
still
blessing.
going.
Yeah.
Like reality is we ain't even at the top, we still going, so it's just like, wow.
Growth never stops. Growth
Oh,
never
ever,
stops.
ever. It's like learning, you gotta keep learning, you gotta keep growing, both 2
Mhm.
things that never stop.
Looking for books that spark imagination and teach valuable lessons? The Adventures of Harold from the Hood has 4 wonderful titles: A Trip to the Park, Friends Like Different Things, Fun Time Lunchtime, and When I Feel So Annoyed. Kids can enjoy animated videos, fun coloring pages, and interactive activity books that make learning about empathy, friendship, and social skills exciting. All books are available on every platform. Dive in today at jimpricebooks.education. jimpricebooks.education. Stay blessed. So I also want to ask, what projects or achievements have been most dear to you? What projects or achievements that you've already done has probably been most dear to you?
The first one I'll say is that right there, 30/30, my show 30/30.
Okay, there we
Um,
go.
my show 30/30, my best friend from high school, so now she's been my best friend since we were 16, right?
Wow.
She's in the military now.
Mm,
So she had been overseas at the time and she came home and one day we were on the phone for hours just talking about things from when we lived together and stuff like that.
mm.
And she was like, "Sis, we should make that a show." And I was like, "Girl, anybody got money to make a TV show?" Like I had made movies,
Yeah, yeah,
but and when I had done things, but I wasn't thinking about the level in which what was getting ready to happen. So we talked about it again and I was like, all right, so let me take a couple of things that happened to us and
mhm,
we'll do a 6 episode season
yeah,
with shorter episodes. Let's just see. Because at the time, what was going on was the YouTube boom was happening
yeah,
and web series were a big thing,
mhm,
especially in the Black lesbian community. It was a big thing.
yeah,
And YouTube, I'm talking about, they were getting logo deals and they were getting literal deals from YouTube.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I said, okay, let me just see. I cashed in my 401k because now I got to, that's called investing yourself, right?
Yeah, you
So
got to.
I ain't got no choice, right? So it gotta work because now I don't have a retirement fund.
Mm.
So I cash in my 401k. We take off 2 weeks. She gets leave from the military, and we film season one. And my documentary Parallel had gotten into a film festival in LA.
Mm.
And the network that the show started on, Reverie,
Yeah.
contacted me, and they were taking the documentary from the film festival. And I said, "Well, we just made a show.
Mm.
Do y'all want to see it?" And they picked up the show. So that made me the first Black woman to write, star, and produce in a Reverie original series.
Wow.
So when that happened, and then we got a season two because we ended up being the number 2 show on the network
Mm.
our first year. And then I was able to do that. My other best friend is the director, right?
Yeah.
So now this is a project where when I say all hands on deck,
Mm.
all of my friends. My ex did the song for the theme song. My cousin is one of the cameramen. Like, I brought every resource that I had together
Mm.
to create this thing.
Mm.
And then season 2, we got to go on tour. And Sarita was deployed at the time. So we had to do that without her, and to go to these different cities and people who did not know us show up
Mm.
and be excited to see us was something that was, and I remember in Sacramento, this woman, and I know she was like at least 20 years older than me. She was so happy to see me.
Mm.
And I have the picture downstairs. She wanted me to kiss her on the cheek, and she just turned beet red, and it was just, and people right now is very popular in London. It's
Yeah.
on a network over there.
Yeah.
And just to know, and even now it's on YouTube, and get comments where people say, I was not okay, and
Mm.
I was able to come laugh
Yeah.
because I watched this. 30/30 was important to me because of who I did it with
Mm.
and what it was able to achieve.
Yeah. Mm.
It was very big to me.
Mm. Yeah. Inspirational stories are always, things that are always able to uplift communities and families and things of that nature. And I mean, your story is definitely one of inspiration and motivation. And our audience today, very appreciative of all your words of wisdom and understanding and sharing your story, and be open with sharing your story, the way you are and stuff like that. Because, like I always say, people don't know the backdrop of everything. They always see the finished product, but never the work that it takes behind the scenes to get where you're going and stuff. But another question I wanted to ask you is, what future projects will you have coming out, or that are being worked on currently with you? What future products or upcoming projects or anything like that are in the works for you coming up?
Currently, I actually just started a AI animation studio. Me and my business partner just started that, where we're doing vertical series on social media. So actually, we should be getting ready this week to release our 4th episode. It's called My Girlfriend's Girlfriend, and it's just, the new trend in the industry are these 2-minute social media clips that just, the attention span is changing, right? People are sitting down watching movies, but at the same time, they're spending a lot of time on their phones. So doing that, and I also have written 2 live action verticals as well that my production company itself are getting ready to film and put out and start doing that. My romance thriller, we're working on distribution for that. We just got it. We just had a premiere this year for it. So we just did a screening in Providence, Massachusetts, actually, last week.
Oh, okay.
We actually just did a screening there during, I think it's called Women of Color Weekend there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just had a screening there. Like I said, my new book is called Boss Babe Besties. It's really me and my best friend slash business partner, just us talking about kind of the last 10 years.
Mm.
And just like you said, people don't really know. They don't know when you're homeless, but you
Yeah.
movie on Peacock, right? They don't, the things that they don't know that you're going through and fighting, and her having breast cancer and her father, just the things that we endure, but we still show up for the job. We still tell the stories. We still make sure that the audience feels seen
Mm.
despite what we may be going through. That comes out at the end of this month. what else am I have a lot going on. I have to, like, look at my board, like, okay, so I have to write some stuff. Um, I have another novel I need to outline. I have 3 movies up there I need to write. Yeah, I got a lot happening. I do.
I mean, it's always good to stay busy, I always say, because especially when you enjoy what you're doing. Like, sometimes people will be like, oh, I go to work, but it's not fun. But when you're
Oh,
working on
yeah.
projects that are actually fun and that you have a passion for, it makes it a fun experience.
I have been blessed. I don't know anything about even when I was working for the county in Nevada, I didn't go to work and hate work,
Yeah.
but I wasn't invested in it. That was simply a avenue at that point to push through what I was doing, which was writing and all those different things. I
Yeah.
went, I did what I was supposed to do, and then I was able to go home and write and make movies on the weekends, and do things like that. So I have no idea what it's like to be that type of miserable.
Mm, wow.
I am blessed. I don't know what that is like at all.
And that's what it is. I think I always say, like people sometimes don't understand their blessings or how they're blessed because they're so focused on the negatives that are happening in life that they forget to think about, hey, I am blessed in so many of these aspects of my life. But, people get so streamlined, focused on the negative things that are happening in their lives that they forget all the blessings that are happening. And they forget that, there's people probably in a lot less fortunate situations than what that person currently is and stuff. And that definitely holds true in a lot of people's lives, I feel. So I mean, those are just, it's a lot.
Yeah,
It's a
no,
lot. It
yeah.
is a lot to digest and stuff like that. And I'm hoping our viewers can see, how we connect these aspects of ourselves, of our lives, in that way where we're, learning, growing, nurturing,
Right.
becoming better people each day, and just focusing on those aspects of what our purpose and where we want to go. And life is, like we say, always never. You never stop growing and learning in life, and that should always be the drive to continue to strive to be better and do better. And
Absolutely.
stories like yours is definitely inspirational in that way. So I want to know, like, how can our viewers get to connect with you and get connected to your content and books and all that stuff? How can our viewers get in contact with you in that way?
To be able to see everything,
Yeah, I mean,
go to my website. My
okay.
website, which is currently being updated and I have to do it like once a year because if not, my sorority sister does my website, and if
Mm,
not, she'd be working for me every day, all day. So like she does one bulk update for me. But my website is bdaniellewatkins.com. And that's gonna show everything, every movie I've ever made, short film, feature film, where it is. They all have links to them. So
okay.
you can get on my website and click on the poster and go straight to the show, straight to the movie, my books as well. You can click on there and it'll take you straight to be able to purchase. It shows my coaching flyer in case somebody needs a writing coach, the services that I freelance for. So if
Yeah.
they, things written and things like that, all of that is on there. More about me, the organizations that I'm a part of is on there, like women in media, things like that. So my website would be the hub for everything, but I do have Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. I do not have TikTok. The world hates me for it, but I do not have a TikTok. Don't get on X either. But if you type in my name, B Danielle Watkins, Facebook would not let me change it to doctor when I got my PhD though. But Instagram does have it. But if you type in B Danielle Watkins, I'll come up. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And like I said, viewers, please reach out and also as a closeout kind of inspirational thing, like in terms of inspiring and motivating others. What would you say is probably a thing to be able to focus on in terms of making progress and moving towards your purpose in that way? And what would you say would be probably an important point for you for our viewers to be able to gravitate to?
What has worked for me is I don't believe that I can't. And
Mm,
I don't know if that's a naive thing or if that is super confidence because I don't feel I'm either.
yeah.
But there's nothing that I walk into that like I said, I published a book and I tried to do it, and get rejected. But
Yeah.
at that moment, there's nothing in me. Everything that comes up, I'm going to figure it out, right? I'm going to figure out a way to do it, scared or not.
Mm.
You got to move through fear, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't move, fear does not hold any weight in my world.
Mm.
Even right now, we got to re-edit one of my movies.
Mm.
And that's frightening. That's frightening for someone to have said, hey, it ain't good enough, you know?
Yeah.
So it can be, right? So
Yeah.
do what you need to do to get there. So that would be my thing. Do what you need to do.
Mm.
Scared or not, knowledge or not,
Yeah.
because we live in the information world now. You can find out how to do anything. Practice makes perfect. So when you put those two things together and you continue to push, there's nothing that's going to stop you. Period.
Absolutely. That is so wonderful right there. That's it's so wonderful how you connect and put that all in perspective in terms of facing your fear, especially a lot of people be so fearful of things and fearful of change and fearful to go for it and, take a leap of faith and try something different. Go outside the box of your comfort level in that way. So such motivational words. So
Mm.
it's been a pleasure, absolute pleasure and a blessing to have you, Dr. Watkins, on the Purpose and Progress podcast show. She definitely shared a lot of jewels in this interview and stuff that's going to definitely inspire a lot of people to change and stuff like that. So tune in for future episodes and check out all the content, all the books, please, and make sure you always stay in your purpose and keep that progress. Growth never stops. See you next time. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Purpose in Progress podcast. I hope today's conversation gave you insight, inspiration, or a fresh perspective to help you move forward with purpose. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little encouragement. You can also support the podcast through the donation link in the show notes. Every contribution helps us keep sharing stories that uplift and inspire. Remember, your purpose is waiting, and progress never stops. I'll see you next time.